Evening, good
Welcome
evening.
to this amazing session. It's a different one and a unique one this time. We are looking at a different sort of a program, and I hope we'll all benefit from it. We're lucky to have with us the keynote speaker, Mr. Rahul Jain. He's a sustainable growth coach and he's director of Bizwiz Learning. Now, Rahul Jain is director of Bizwiz, as I just said, which provides solutions to enhance the success of both individuals and organizations. He's also a director and a licensee of LMI India. To help you understand that, LMI is Leadership Management International, which is the world's largest leadership development company. He's a thought leader on leadership, corporate finance, business simulations, and venture planning. Now, this will strike you because he's a mentor to IIM Ahmedabad, CIIE. He's authored multiple ebooks and he's passionate about equity research and spiritualism. I think that's a very broad, variable personality we've got on with us today. He's also managing an NGO known as Sandeep Welfare Trust, which is active in both in areas of healthcare and human welfare. So we'd love to hear what his take on pandemic is, I'm sure. And he's also the director for Sandeep Knitwear Industries Limited. Mr. Rahul Jain is an MBA from MDI Gurgaon, which is one of the leading B schools of our country, OHBE from Laureate US University, and is a fellow company secretary. He has been a keynote speaker and a presenter at various national and international conferences, seminars. He has consulted and mentored several startups, companies, individuals, colleges on business planning, company analysis, industry analysis, market research. The list is kind of literally endless. He's got several awards to his name, and he's been hugely conferred all over. So I'm not going to go on and on. And I will, there's a long list of clients on his list, which work with him, including as big names as Saint Gobain Glass, ET Now, Siemens, Aditya Birla, and so many from public sector as well, very leading companies. So today, Mr. Jain has set up a step-by-step approach for the next 60-odd minutes to walk us all through broadly 4 experiential steps using different management tools in order to help us identify the gaps and then transcend them to become more effective. So as perhaps the topic itself portrays for itself, achieve exponential growth by transforming yourself. I hope everybody is on board and I'm looking forward to it. Let me not waste any more time. Over to you, Mr. Jain.
Thank you, Harpreet ji, for such a nice way of introduction. Really very nice and elaborate way which you have done. I don't deserve such a long introduction. I thought that you will cut down that because of this nice way of introduction. Really, you have done a 6er in the opening, but it doesn't deserve actually. I don't deserve that. I am just here to share my knowledge and also learn from each other. So that's my motto. Thank you, LMA, and thank you, Kapoor Saab, for having me here. It's such a wonderful occasion that in such difficult times, the participation is very good. It has already crossed 100. It shows the commitment of LMA members, shows the commitment of all of you. Such a lovely audience out here. Let's have a big round of applause for the commitment that all of you have shown here. Despite being a weekday and despite being a very busy schedule, all of you are here. So I actually expect that this kind of commitment you will show throughout. So can you give your full attention to this webinar? Please eliminate other browsers, other distractions, because there is a research that the distractions have increased by 5 times. और इसमें हमारी कोई गलती नहीं है. This is we are living in this virtual world and distractions are coming from anywhere and everywhere. So yeah, but yeah, if we want to get the best out of this webinar, do you want to maximize your potential? Do you want to enhance the wealth of your organizations? Yes or no? Please type on the chat box if you want yes. With yes, you can type, and that will actually increase your commitment. because all of us want to enhance the value of our organization by exponential growth. But for that, commitment is required, which you have already shown. So I want your commitment for next 60 minutes. That is, let's be here only, let's have focus, and let's eliminate all the browsers. And also switch on your videos so that we can interact and I can get your energies. And we can really learn from each other in this wonderful LMA platform, which they have really strived very hard for this, this webinar. And this webinar will try to have as interactive as possible. Also, your participation will make the real difference, because knowledge we can easily get from WhatsApp and YouTube. We are here to have some actionable points. Let's have some actions points that we can apply after this webinar so that it can really change our life. The more we focus on actionable points, the better will it be. Okay, so let's start the webinar now with one simple puzzle. I'll be sharing the screen now where I'll be showing you a slide which will have 9 alphabets. And each alphabet will have corresponding shape. So how many of you have good memory here? You can raise your hand, those who are having good memory. अच्छी याददाश्त इनकी है यहाँ पे. Okay, great. काफी लोगों की है. So this let's have a test of your memory. I'm not here to test anybody, but yeah, it's a very simple and interesting exercise where you don't have to use any other gadgets. Just you have to see this slide for 10 seconds and remember the alphabets with the corresponding shape. So you have to remember the alphabet with the corresponding shape. 9 alphabets with the corresponding shape. The more you remember, the greater the memory retention you are having. Is that fine what you have to do? Okay, I hope it is clear to everybody. So let me share the slide. So how many shapes can you recall with each alphabet as we discuss? This is the exercise. And okay, don't take the picture because we are here to test our own memory. We are not using any gadget out here. So 10 seconds, we'll count here 10 seconds. I will be showing you this in the next slide for 10 seconds. Time is over. So how many did you recall? You can put on the chat or you can unmute and or speak as you wish. Let me check on the chat box. How many can you remember? How many alphabets with a corresponding shape? You can put on the chat. That would be easy for all of us. So anybody who remember more than 5? More than 4? 3? Okay, so now I'll be showing that slide again, but with a twist. I'll be showing the similar slide, but with a twist. And you have to do the same exercise. Let's see again. And this time, we'll see the results. And I bet your results will be much higher. So 10 seconds again. So how many of you remember now much more? Yeah, so much more. So many of you might be remembering much more. What's the reason behind it? Yes, Harpreet, can you share your insights?
Well, I think you've put them in a box and each one has a corresponding shape towards the center. So there's a logical preconceived pattern in our minds already, which makes it easier to associate.
Absolutely. So we have got better clue this time. If we are having better clue, if we are prepared, then we can get better results in just 1 second time or maybe in a minute's time. The same we would be doing in next 55 minutes. We all will share certain clues. And my endeavor would be to have an experiential learning out of those clues so that we can apply. Otherwise, this topic is really flimsy, that is achieving exponential growth, that too at this time. Somebody will say the situation is entirely different. And what kind of topic is this? Is it really possible? Next 55 minutes, we'll be talking about it. We'll be sharing the steps. And yes, if we follow those steps, then it is very much possible. That's why we say do 1%, 100% done. This 1% is a slight edge. It's nothing but a slight edge in the effort. If we do become better, somewhat better what we are doing currently, then we can get better results. Because we say small is beautiful. It's not that big actions will always be taken and to get the transformational results. No. If we just take the smaller actions, it can give us much transformative results because smaller actions can be taken consistently. What's the difference between the 100-meter Olympics race winner and the second one? How much is the difference? It's just milliseconds.
Fraction of a second.
Fraction of the seconds. Thank you. But the difference in the result is huge. Isn't it? Winners take it all. And we know the name of the winner. We might not be remembering the name of the second one. And the fame and the money is much higher. Usain Bolt, we all know, he's a world record breaker and Olympic medalist in 100 meters. But we don't remember the second one. The difference in the effort is just milliseconds. So this kind of difference you also have experienced right now. You got the smart clues and you got much more memory retention. So sahi vidhi se hi siddhi prapt hoti hai. So I'll be sharing it, but yeah, let me ask you another question now. What kind of challenges you are facing? So some of the challenges are common to all of us, but still you can write down some important challenges which you are facing in your notes or in any piece of paper or diary which you are having, and put down the topmost challenge on the chat box which you are facing currently. Not only in your business, but also in our personal lives, because each one of them are interconnected. Both of these aspects are interconnected. So prepare a list and put down the top-notch challenge which you are facing. I am unable to see the chat. Is it disabled? Kindly check.
Swati, even yeah, I have faced.
Yeah, chat is not there.
There is some backend problem in chat. I am already looking after on it.
Achha, no issues. So
Yeah.
technical glitches.
Technical issue at the end of the Zoom only.
No issues. So though we are living in Zoom world, but these technical glitches always happen. So that's not a problem. And we all are managers and leaders. And of course, we are here. And in India, this word is very popular, jugaad. So yeah, so we have to live with the times and get the best of the times. So that's fine. So one or two of you can speak what kind of topmost challenge you are facing currently, so that I can gauge the sense of the business leaders out here, and it will become more interactive. So you can raise your hand, those who want to speak, and unmute. We'll unmute them.
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself.
If you raise your hand, Swati will unmute you, please.
So yeah, Mr. Gupta is there. Yeah, please. Miss Gupta. Yeah. Or yeah. So who wants to share the challenge? No challenge? All well? Like Three Idiots? All is well? Okay, so let's have some sharing. Mr. Sachdev. Let's have sharing from Mr. Kapoor. Sandeep ji, aap bataiye. Yes.
Naresh Sachdev ji, I think you can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think these times the biggest challenge for all of us is to keep ourselves in the positive frame of mind and look for the bright spots in these times of tough challenges. So I think the biggest challenge is how to keep everyone, in your family, in your friend, in your colleague circle, up to that level of positivity and moving towards in that direction.
Thank you. Excellent sharing. Of course, yeah, this is a real tricky situation. And as we were discussing also before starting, that fear has crept in our mind and we are not so sure what will happen in the future, because this kind of pandemic and this kind of disruption has never happened. And there is, though now the vaccines are there and things are being taken care in terms of health infrastructure, it is being revamped. But yeah, we know that there is huge uncertainty. So because we interact day in, day out with different business leaders, these are some challenges which I have written here, and it might resonate some of the challenges you might also be facing. So yeah, being positive, as it is being mentioned here also, how to handle self, how to handle team. Team is also facing day in, day out different kind of challenges, work from home, or the family is not well, so on and so forth. Unable to meet desired goals. So the goals which we are having, but it doesn't look like that we will be able to achieve. Though we set those goals just 3 months back in Feb, March, when everything seemed normal. लेकिन एकदम ही change हो गया. And now what will happen in future? And of course, there is a work-life imbalance. And there's, in fact, a huge emotional pressure is there. The situation sometime, especially in till 15 April, was really grim. We were really preoccupied with our emotional and healthcare, isn't it? So in this context, what should we do? How can we achieve higher growth? How can we achieve higher success? So first, let's start with basics. That is what success means to you. So we might have different definitions. Somebody will say happiness. Somebody can say achieving goals. And these are right in their own way. But as per LMI, we have defined success in this fashion, which is relatable to all of us. So it seems to be a long definition, but I will help in breaking down so that we can apply this. So success is progressive realization of predetermined, worthwhile personal goals. So very important words are there in this definition. Progressive. Progressive means success doesn't happen just when we achieve the goals. It starts happening when we start taking the action towards the goals. And progress, we always want growth. So that is also imbibed in this word progressive. Then realization of our needs, happiness, realization of our goals. Predetermined. So success is not by chance. Most of the times it is being predetermined. It is being planned in advance. short term, medium term, long term. Yeah, at these times when the scenario is really unpredictable, tab hum scenario analysis we can do. We can have dynamic duration of planning. Worthwhile. Worthwhile to whom? To oneself. Worthwhile to oneself, worthwhile to others, and worthwhile to the stakeholders. As we are seeing now, it's not just about profits. Now the definition of bottom line is changing. Earlier we were just referring bottom line to profits, but ab change ho gaya. It should be worthwhile to planet, worthwhile to people out here. So triple bottom line is the now new norm. And if we don't take care of it, we'll be on the toss. We'll lose the trust of the society and the stakeholders, and our business will not survive. And the personal point is that we are setting our own goals. Nobody is dictating us here. Yeah, boss might be guiding us, but at the end of the day, it's my choice to work for that particular organization. It's my choice to work in that particular business if I am an entrepreneur. It's my choice to have a particular situation as a family. So that's why it is personal. And goals. So goals in all the areas of the life, whether it is personal or professional. So that's why our today's seminar will help us in enhancing the success in this context. Let's move forward. We have already discussed about challenges. Certain things are also mentioned. The world in 2021, which we are facing right now, the stress and the tension and the worry has increased in these aspects, worrying about debt, worrying about the education. We are not sure what will happen, what kind of criteria CBSE will take, what kind of criteria the admission will happen in DU or in Ludhiana or in Punjab. So all these things are worrying us, isn't it? My daughter is in 12th. She is just passed out because of CBSE, no exams. But we are now worried what will happen, what kind of criteria would be used. So all these things we all are facing. And of course, worried about jobs, worried about income, emotional health. All these are on the top of the agenda right now. And the organization, they want to reduce cost because the cash flow is stuck, especially the companies which are in domestic faced companies which are serving in domestic market. Because last 2-3 months their factories are there running. So their cash outflow is there. They are paying to labor, they are paying for rent, they are paying the fixed costs, but the inflow is not there because the retail is closed, the wholesale is closed. So the inflow is minimal. So that's why this kind of cash flow problem, liquidity problem, they want to reduce the cost or optimize the cost. Another aspect is digitization. How we can change ourselves to rapidly adapt digitization in all the aspects of business. And consumer needs are also changing. Their lifestyle is changing. Our habits are changing. We are unable to see Salman Khan on the bigger screen now. So we have to go in for OTT only. In just Tirupura or in certain locations, only 6 screens were there in India. Collections of hardly 1 lakh rupees from theatre. The other major collections were from OTT, from Indian audiences. So their habits are changing considerably. So what should we do? As an individual level, we have to take the responsibility to become transformational leader. to achieve exponential growth. So we'll demystify this today. We'll understand the steps. But yeah, this is a powerful quote, and the steps are hidden in this quote only, which is mastering others is strength and mastering yourself is true power. The first thing that we need to take care is where we are right now. Where is the gap? What kind of gap is there? Where we want to be? If we are not clear where we are right now, we won't be able to set our milestones, what we want in our life. So that's why where we are is like mastering yourself is true power. If we want to achieve what we want in our life, if we want to be CEO of our life, then the first step is to understand where we are right now. So we'll do an interesting exercise with respect to that after some time. But yeah, coming back to transformational leadership, so these are the key factors which we need to imbibe. Vision. We need to have bigger vision like Mahatma Gandhi had, Nelson Mandela had. They didn't thought about themselves. They were beyond money. They were thinking about the nation. They had this self-actualization in their mind. So they left everything and they were there for the cause. So that kind of vision and mission we need to have. And we need to act as a role model like Dhoni had. When he was leading the team, he was acting as a role model. We remember that in 2011, when Indian team was chasing 294 runs in the final of the World Cup, no team has chased such a mammoth score, 274, I think. No team has chased earlier. And it looked impossible when Indian team lost 3 wickets in just 40-50 runs. But then Dhoni took the responsibility. He showed the courage and he came. And of course, there were other team members also. But yeah, as a leader, he showed the courage. He created that kind of culture which led to higher success. So it is the responsibility of the leader to create the culture, to act as a role model. If we say to our staff that come on time, we say to our team to come on time many of the times, but in certain organizations, they never come on time. Because most of the times, the top management, they actually don't commit. They don't fulfill their commitments. Instead of 9:30, they might be coming on the meeting at 10. So if the leader is doing the role, the follower will also will follow accordingly. So in one word, we need to be Karam Yogi. Is it clear to everybody? The different facets of transformational leader?
Yeah. Sure.
Great. Now, how to achieve that? That is the moot question that we are here. That how to do this? We all might be knowing all these features and characteristics. The important point is how we can implement this in our life. So let's come to the how part. These are the 4 steps that we need to follow. Of course, it will not happen in 1 hour webinar, but yeah, the start can be made. Because to change any habit, it generally takes around 2 to 3 months time period. But yeah, if we are aware about what are the steps and then we are persistent to practice it for 2 to 3 months time, then we will be able to achieve that particular change in habit. So what is the first step? The step 1 is identify the performance issues and gaps. Do 1%, 100% done. Blueprint. The step 1 is to identify where we are right now. And then we will be able to achieve what we want to achieve. But then we need to demystify our desires and dreams. We need to break down the long-term goals into SMART goals. That is the second step. Next 2 months, next 3 months time period, or 6 months time period, what we have to achieve. Then only our memory will have clarity, and our mind and memory needs clarity. If our goals are not specific, for example, somebody says that I have to be fit. Now this is a vague goal. It's a desire that one needs to be fit like Salman Khan or Shah Rukh Khan or Amir Khan. Salman Khan is not my favorite, but yeah, that name is coming up regularly. So I want to change the name, Tiger Shroff. So fit like say Tiger Shroff. But can the 6 abs be developed in one day? No. It will take time. So we need to break down that into SMART goals. So just saying being fit will not suffice. We need to say, okay, if one has to achieve weight of 80 kgs in next 6 months, then that's a specific goal. And further, we need to also lay down plan of action. So to achieve that 80 kgs, somebody is having 90 kgs of weight right now. I'm talking about myself. So I'm having right now 90 kgs of weight, though in Zoom it doesn't look like. That's the benefit of technology. Yeah, so from 90 to 80, next 6 months, that's a SMART goal. But then what needs to be done for that? What is the plan of action? Is it 1 hour yoga? It might not work for me. I have tried it earlier. So I have to raise the level. So I might have to consult dietitian or somebody so that I have to change the food habits. So the plan of action might not be just one dimensional. I hope this is clear to all of you. Though I'll be discussing all these steps much in detail also, but this is a kind of summary that we are discussing in the beginning. And the third point is behavior change. The point that we were discussing about earlier, that is change in our habits. It won't happen. We won't be able to achieve goals if we are not focusing on our attitudes and habits. Because these are the foundations of the success. We all know Sudha Chandran. Despite being handicapped, she has been able to achieve much more. Very well-known dancer and actor. She lost her leg, but after that she has danced, she has performed, she has acted. And it is being said that attitude is more important than talent to achieve success. It's not about vocation or location, it's about attitude. And then tracking your results throughout. So in a 2020 game, if we have to make 200 runs and we don't track, the second team doesn't track the runs in first 15 overs और last के 5 ओवर में 150 रन बनाने हो, it's not possible. So we have to track every over in T20, not just in 5 overs, but अब तो हर over में हमें track करना पड़ेगा. The same way with pandemic. We need to track every day. I remember when I had a COVID in April, I have to track every day oxygen and also the temperature and also report to the doctor. Last for 10 days of the April, it was normal. So doctor said, now you have recovered. But yeah, the tracking helped. So tracking has to be done throughout. Going further, because we have limited time. I think just 20 minutes I am having. So I want to cover the important aspects. Now here, these steps are really important, and it's not just because I am saying it. This is the proven steps of LMI. The LMI programs have been done by 4 million people worldwide, more than 40 lakh people. And of course, these steps need execution in long term, like 3 months or 6 months time period. So please focus on execution and also having the right mentor or right coach or right accountability partner. So when these things are there, people are able to do what they want to do. Because if you see, the research says, it's by Marshall Goldsmith, famous management guru. This research states that the 2 important reasons of leadership failure is first, interpersonal leadership skills. That is how we deal with people, how we engage with them. And the second is about personal skills, self-management, prioritization, focus on one particular thing, monotasking. All these aspects are very important. And next 20-25 minutes, I'll be focusing on these aspects, because these are the key aspects of our blueprint, which can lead to exponential growth. And there's another research that those who take self-responsibility are peak performers. They become better in performance. So those who are self-motivated, they don't need anybody to motivate them. Because if you see, as an individual, our needs and wants are sufficient to motivate us. But we don't write and crystallize our own needs and goals. That's why we fail to take self-responsibility. And overall, transformational leaders are much more effective by another research. And this has been a case here. I will be sharing my story out here. In a very small manner, I have been able to apply this and able to achieve what I wanted to achieve in this last 5-10 years. But as a baby, I struggled to survive because I had a severe disease. Until age 5, I didn't have any salt. Yes, and then further in 9th class, I failed in maths exam. Today, I'm coaching individuals and organizations on in the financial area, in the business modeling area, apart from leadership. But in 9th, I had a fear of numbers. And in college, I had fears of public speaking. But then I overtook those. But still, in 2005, when I started on my own, I joined my family business in 2000. In 2005, I thought to start on my own. In first few years, I really struggled. It's not because of startup struggles in the beginning, but it was because of my negative attitude. Lack of planning, lack of prioritization. Then I started realizing my shortcomings in 2006-07 and started working onto myself. Do 1%, 100% done. Slight edge, 1% improvement every day. And that has led to financial independence now. That's why I am now following passion as my profession and my purpose, which is to empower potential. So, and I've been able to help these organizations. So I'm really lucky that I'm in front of you today. When a simple person like me can do, all of you are much more talented, can really do huge transformation in your lives, in your business, in your society. Now coming back to the first step, we'll do 1 or 2 exercises now so that we are able to apply this. Are we ready? Great. So the first step was all about identifying the performance issues and gaps. Let's do this simple exercise. I will be showing you Wheel of Life here. All these aspects are required to have a balance in our life. Because if we have a lot of money, but we don't have health, we have seen what has happened last 2-3 months, last 1.5 years. And if we are healthy, but if we don't have money, we will not have comfort in our life. So that's why all the aspects are very important here. But I'll request you, all the business leaders out here, professionals out here, I'll be requesting एक चीज हम लोग यहाँ करते हैं, identify out of these 6 areas right now in the current context, which are the top 3 areas in your life which you want to focus on. So can you note down in a piece of paper or in your notes top 3 areas? Please note down that, because now we are in a workshop mode. So we will be doing 2-3 exercises so that we get some action points today as promised. Otherwise, Harpreet ji will say nothing has come, so it's not worth it. So have you listed down the top 3? Let's have 1 or 2 sharings. Anybody who wants to share which are the top 3? All of it, all these areas are important, but in the current context, which are your top 3? Just any sharing out here? Because I am able to see just 3-4 names. The slideshow is there. Anil ji, can you share or somebody?
Yeah, for me, it would be just now family and home, physical health, and mental and educational.
Great. What do you say?
Maybe I am end of my career by and large, so therefore financial and career may not be very important for me just now. So maybe may not apply to people who are just younger.
Thank you for sharing, Anil ji.
Definitely, sir. With Anil sir, I'll also go that family and home is most important, because at the age of now 58, 59, we believe that family and home in this difficult time should always be all well. Second, yeah, physical and health. And the third, I will be taking care of financial and career, because I'll be also looking towards my family, that everyone is, besides all those problems we are being facing, we must also concentrate on financial and career goals also.
Great sharing. Next step is we need to ask ourselves, am I heading upward or down in each of these areas? What are the gap areas? What we want to do in, say, next 6 months, which will enhance our happiness quotient, which will enhance our success. Can you note down, am I heading upward or downward in each of the areas that we discussed in the earlier wheel, like health, career, family, relationships, positive impact to the world? So you can take all these areas and ask to yourself. So there are some gap areas, isn't it? Now the next point will come to what can be the reasons behind those gaps. What are the important performance issues? Because as a leader, if we are not aware about the issues and the causes which can bother our organization and our own life, then we won't be able to take the next step. That's why this is very important exercise. So I'll be displaying a list of competencies. Write down all where you need to improve and select 5 which are essential to improve. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now moving forward, these are certain competencies. As we discussed, leadership skills, the reasons of failures, 2 most important, interpersonal and self. So certain competencies are there which are related to those domain areas. And then business areas are also mentioned. So identify certain areas where we need to improve, which can considerably improve our performance, and will fill those gaps which we found in the first step. I know this is a very short time that we are having, but at least it will help us in starting. And we are there to help all the members. You can call me after the webinar or email. I'll be happy to help. No charges for calling and replying to email. Okay, so we can really discuss post-webinar. But yeah, of course, this is a starting point, which is very, very important. Okay, can we have one more sharing now? One sharing on this particular step. Who wants to share one most important area which is bothering you out of these? Yeah.
So, Chaudhary ji, would you like to do it? Mr. Bindra, Lakshay, anyone?
Am I making sense to all of you? Is it making sense, this webinar?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so Naresh ji, can you share one of your areas which you want to work or your organization wants to work? Yes.
Cross-functional issues, interruptions, and not managing time. I think these three areas are there which we need, which I personally feel need to work upon.
You have shared candidly in front of so many people. And why have you chosen, say, cross-functional issues?
See, sir, in an organization, being from industry and then into academia for last 5 years, I feel that I need to improve upon cross-functional issues. When we just go on to the work and henceforth put forward ideas or wisdom or experience which we have, at times perhaps we get a back question to it. We in fact are not in a position to put it right, or acceptability is not there because of the experience and academia. That's what I think. The cross-functional issues has to be rightly maneuvered, and henceforth that would be a great task.
Niriji, you have hit the nail, and this is a problem which is, I think, 90% of the leaders face. And suppose you become master in this, आप एकदम इसमें अच्छे हो जाए, say next 3 to 6 months, because you will be started working on this. So what will happen? What results you can get through this?
Then definitely, everyone is going to believe, and what thought process I have in my mind would be inculcated, and henceforth the teamwork would be there, and better, more results and more happiness and work-life balance and regards to each other would definitely go many folds. That's what I think.
Wonderful. And this is nothing but our goals. So we are tying our performance issues with the goals. And when we think clearly the results that we'll achieve, if we start working on a particular gap area, then that self-motivation starts happening. And positive thinking starts happening, because we are able to achieve smaller milestones. Because we are breaking down, as we discussed in that step number 2, that we need to break down a bigger goal into smaller goal. And if we are able to achieve those small goals, then that confidence happens, which leads further action and transformation. That's why I asked you what will happen in next 3 to 6 months. And further, all of us need to write it down. Please write down the goals that you want to have. Specific goals. And further, the smart actions. So I'll be focusing on certain important points out here in terms of actions and behavior in next 10 minutes. Can I take 10 more minutes? I'm requesting.
Okay. Sir, your time, sir. Your time.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for so considerate. So now we want to ask ourselves further that what we want to achieve in these areas in next 6 months. Can we write down top 3 goals that we want to achieve in next 6 months? It can be any area which you have selected or which you want to select. Next 6 months में 3 specific goals which is different from the current goals. Because if we keep on focusing on the same actions, we'll get the same results. So we need to do different actions to achieve different results. So going further, now talking about actions. This we face always. Most of the times as a business leader, we know what we have to do, but still we don't have time for that. Or still we are unable to prioritize for that because we are involved in firefighting. We are involved most of the times in routine operations. So how to change that? This kind of mantra will help us. Have our daily schedules and allocate some time in a week to our long-term goals. These are important but not urgent goals. Learning, improving ourselves. Sometimes it's very, very important, but we forget because of the current urgency that we face. Okay, extreme situations are exceptional, which we faced last month. But that happens once in a decade or something like that, once in a century. But normally we are disturbed by small things also. And we are unable to concentrate on important but not urgent things. Isn't it? So let's have some actions every week for your long-term goals. Allocate some time. Can we devote 1 hour to our health? I'm not just taking business side, I am taking the entire spectrum of our personality, of our happiness. Can we give daily 1 hour to ourselves in terms of health, in terms of planning, in terms of team engagement? We know that engaging with team is very important. So what we can do different so that we engage with the team in a better manner. So these kind of actions will come out of this. Planning, I've already discussed. Prioritization. We can use digital tools like simulations. It's a business simulation tool. So I'll be sharing this business simulation tool with LMA members as a complimentary. I'll be giving more details at the end of the webinar, how you can access to this. Because of the paucity, I'm not showing the video, paucity of time. It's very interesting. It really helps us to simulate the realities and test our assumptions of the business model. Like pilot learns flying through simulator, this simulation helps us in understanding the outcomes of the decisions of a virtual business. So this is a business planning software of a virtual business, and where you can test your assumptions. So you can use any business simulation, and from our side, we'll give you this simulation, which you can use as a complimentary, because you are here, you have given so much of time. So we have got this responsibility so that you can start applying and use it for 3 months time period. We will be giving you 3 months access for it. So I will ask you this question again, that what different actions would you take to achieve your goals? So now the goals are in front of you, which you would like to achieve in next 6 months, isn't it? Though you might not have finalized as of now because of short of time, but you can take a deadline that within a week I have to finalize my next 6 months goals. And it should not be just for business, for all the aspects of life, and further, what different actions I would be taking for that. And then I have just given my inputs on this another very important aspect, some actions which we can take to accelerate going digital. Because digital is the new normal, and the, you can say it is the oxygen of the business now. We all have experienced oxygen shortage. We won't like to repeat that. And of course, for business, digital is the oxygen. So we need to ask, I'll be sharing this slide, this presentation with the LMA. You can have the reference. I'll be just discussing one or two important points which we can focus on. We need to ask ourselves, how much data do we have well documented? What further actions we'll be taking to document the data, to document the process and digitize the process in our organization? Another point, are our meeting changing as a result of going digital? Are our review mechanisms changing as a result of going digital? Yeah, certainly we are changing. That's why we are here today on Zoom. Otherwise, 2 years back, I was in Ludhiana. I was giving a seminar face-to-face to another association named as JITO. Jain International Trade Organization is one of the very well-known organizations. But now we are on the Zoom and we are doing this. But we need to also check the frequency. If we are collecting data every day, every week, and we are doing dynamic planning, but we are reviewing after a month, so this kind of disconnect can really be harmful in taking prompt action. So isko bhi hame dekhna padega. And we also have to see what new measures we need to have. If our channel is going e-commerce, we are using more sales channel as an e-commerce channel. So can we have a measure for e-commerce in future? Can we have new product development for the digital world? So all these things we need to ask ourselves, because proactive companies does that. Like Disney, it launched this Disney Plus this kind of service in India or worldwide last year when just pandemic started. So they were proactive. It was proactive, and it has garnered more than $100 million from the particular service in a year's time. That kind of revenue it has gotten. Walmart, it bought Flipkart. We know that. And we were amazed that it paid around $19 billion to a startup. But they were futuristic. And you know now how important these are e-commerce channels and e-commerce marketplaces. So what are we doing to be more proactive, take care of the change in the future, in the current times only, so that we have better results? So behavior change I have already talked about. Sometimes we are having negative habits which blocks us, or negative attitudes which blocks us, like I can't. Like we see in the screen, elephant. It's tied up. It's a big elephant. What weight an elephant can lift? This mighty elephant, how much weight it can lift? Tons. But still it is unable to crush this small chain, because right from the childhood it has been trained, and it thinks that it will not be able to crush that chain. It is being bound by its own habits. The same way, most of the times, we are also bound by our own habits. And that can be very good or can be very bad. Depends on the habits that we are having. So we need to shift from I can't to I can. From self-doubt to positive expectancy. From I won't to I will. So that kind of attitudinal change will really lead to change in results. And the last point, it is about ROI in results. Am I tracking just one thing in my business, that is profits? Then it won't suffice. Let's have a holistic scorecard which takes care of all the important measures in our business. Customer innovation, like balanced scorecard, we have heard about the concept and we might be applying. So that is very useful, balanced scorecard. There are 4 parameters in that: financial, customer, quality or product related, and the fourth one is people. And above all, the measurement should not restrict to just business. It should be in all the areas of the life that we discussed. So what we will do for that? What kind of, can you note down this point? A question which we have to answer, that what kind of new measurement matrices we need to have. So if we want to have metrics for physical and health, weight is one of the metrics. And we need to have metrics for activity also. Now, somebody said, some of you said that family and home is very important. Yeah, for all of us, it's very important, and we have realized it. What we have experienced in last few months and last 1 year. So what metrics do you need to keep for family and home? Yes, anybody wants to share what goals that they want to have?
I think the kind of relationships that you have, the kind of bond and relationships that you have with your family members, or friends, they will define it.
Yes, so can be a dinner with the family every day, or some time to the family, quality time. So we need to have specific metrics. So clear to us and we can measure it regularly. Because 1% improvement leads to huge improvement in results. So I'll come to one important point. Yes. Like we were talking about exponential growth, how it leads to exponential growth, 1% improvement. This chart shows, though we have experienced that in the beginning also when we were doing memory puzzle. Now this chart shows there are 2 equations here. The first equation is talking about the person or the organization which is doing 1% improvement every day. And the second equation is talking about doing less than what is required. So 1.01 raised to 365. That's 1% improvement every day leads to 37.8 after a year. And if we are doing less than what is required, it is just 0.03. So there's a 300 times difference between going beyond what is required and doing less than what is required. And very simple concept which have been applied by organizations worldwide, like Dabbawala, which the owners are not so literate, but they have applied it and they have got the huge success. So this kind of thing. So so at the end, I want to share one basic plan which all of you can use, which is complementary to LMA members. You can sign up on our website. I'll be sharing the link. We'll be providing the 6 video classes and the simulations. Those who sign, 3-month simulation that we were talking about. Because these changes doesn't happen in a day, as we discussed. I can't become Tiger Shroff in 1 day. I have to work very, very hard in that. So yeah. So yeah. Then we have other plans also, gold plan, platinum plan, which can improve your leadership skills. We provide right kind of coach to give right kind of feedback and tracking mechanisms. Now I will request questions from your side. Now it's a question time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jain. Maybe request, since the chat is not on and everybody cannot be unmuted, or should we unmute everyone, Swati, for a few minutes? Is that possible?
Anybody can, if anybody is having any question, they can simply raise their hands. I will unmute them.
And I have also shared my contact details. So one can take the picture of it or can save this, and they can connect with me after the webinar also. So I hope I have shared in an adequate manner. So I know I'm just a student of leadership, and I'm here to share my little knowledge with all of you. So yes, it was really pleasure talking and interacting with all of you. And some of you, most of you have participated enthusiastically. Some of you have also shared orally out here by speaking it out. And they have shared their gap areas and their goals and their plans. So that's kudos to all of you. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Jain. It's been very kind, and you've really walked us in a very logical way, you know, as you said, step by step. So I'm sure anyone who would like to do it, it's very comfortable. We also thank you for sharing the 3-month, you know, simulation and workshop videos, which we could probably gain from. Let me not waste any more time and invite our president, Dr. Sandeep Kapoor, for giving the presidential remarks.
Thank you, ma'am. I think first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Rahul for giving his valuable time, and it was a wonderful evening today. You know, we could learn, you know, step by step as to how he's doing. Only thing that I would like to see in the whole this particular part, and I would like to seek more guidance from Rahul Ji as to, particularly for a lot of young people are there, a few young people and students are also here. How do you improve, you know, the kind of enthusiasm or urge to excel? You know, I find the laid back attitude of most of the students, with the silver spoon, having lots of, like you said, distractive material around. So the passive learning has taken over, you know, what we always talk about, the active learning. Before I move on to the presidential remark, I really am asking you, that's an urge to ask, as to how to create that urge in the students, particularly the youngsters, so that they are enthusiastic about, you know, achieving and doing all this. Unless until they do have, I think it will be difficult for them to transform the way you mentioned.
It's a very important question, and actually the distractions are not just there for the student, it's for all of us. We all have, all are facing different kind of distractions, and certain distractions might be online, offline, and so on and so forth. But the point here is how we can have attitude of excellence and what we need to do for that. So the steps here actually help us to achieve the excellence that we have discussed. First of all, one needs to know what is the purpose of the life, what they want to do in their life. The why is very important. What's in it for me? What's the mission and the purpose of our life? So that's why actually we were discussing about goals, but before that we need to discuss our purpose and mission. And that's long term, and then it helps us to break down. So let's devote some time for that. We need to be sometimes selfish in terms of devoting time to oneself. As a person, we sometimes don't devote time to ourselves. Time means time to right things. Doing right things at right time for right length of time. So right things at right time we might be doing, but we might not be doing for right length of time. So we need to also focus on to that. So yeah, after setting our purpose and what we want in our life, then of course the goals will drive us that excellence within. What we want in our life. So our needs and desires are sufficient to motivate us. But as an individual, we are so habituated by fear and reward, by carrot and stick, that we forget our own potential and our own needs and desires. So all of us, including students, need to do this consistently. Setting the goals and seeing our purpose, and then setting our goals and then taking actions, because then we'll take actions from ourselves. We'll have that ownership, and that ownership will drive excellence. So that is one important part. Because there are other aspects of the leadership that we talked about. Those aspects will also help in achieving the excellence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. It is always pleasure talking to you and learning from you, from your experience. I think that, thank you so much for sparing time. And we know as members, there are a lot of takeaways that we have seen. I think the one which I really liked was the step-by-step approach which Rahul Ji, you presented. I hope our members will take the note of it, and they will take the best out of this and try to implement. I know the time was short, and thank you so much for being kind enough for allowing the members to have 3 months kind of a free.
Actually, thank you to LMA also, because it was originally scheduled in month of, I think, May, but because of this COVID which happened to me also, so we had to delay. So I apologize for that. Thanks for being considerate.
Wonderful. It's totally no problem. It's such a pleasure.
Dr. Harpreet, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kapoor. Thank you, Mr. Rahul Jain again. And thank you all the members and some of the students from MBA business schools who joined today. Lovely having you all here. Have a good evening.